All right, well, welcome everyone to the Tennessee Partners Orientation Meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. I just want to let you know that we are recording today's orientation meeting for those who are not able to attend today, and we will share the recording after today's meeting. I'll begin by sharing my screen with you, and we'll get right into our presentation today. So once again, welcome. Thank you so much for your willingness to serve and support SkillsUSA Tennessee this year. We are so excited to be back in person in Chattanooga in April this year. We're getting a lot of excitement from our advisors, our educators, our students. I hope that you are with us in sharing that excitement, that we're just ready to be back in person. We haven't had an in-person SkillsUSA conference in Tennessee since 2019. As many of you know, our 2020 conference was canceled, and then last year in 2021, we ran a completely virtual conference on both the high school side and the college side. So needless to say, we are very excited to be back in person for the SkillsUSA conference this year. We'll begin with some introductions. If you've been around SkillsUSA Tennessee for a while, you're probably wondering, who are these new people? So my name is Shana Williard, and I am the SkillsUSA Tennessee Post-Secondary State Director. So I work under the Tennessee Board of Regents, and I came on board July 1st of last year. My predecessor, Joy Rich, did a fantastic job for a few years, and then I took over the reins on July 1st. We also have a new secondary state director, my counterpart, and I will let her introduce herself now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Acuff, and I am under the Tennessee Department of Education. Through them, I am the State Director for SkillsUSA Tennessee Secondary Division, as well as the State Advisor for Tennessee Technology Student Association, or TSA. I am actually new to Tennessee. I moved here about a month and a half ago. I moved here to Nashville, really excited to be here. I came from Colorado, where I was previously the TSA State Advisor there. So although I'm new to Tennessee and SkillsUSA, I'm not new to CTE and CTSO. So I'm really thankful for the work that we do and what you do as business and industry supporters to help run our contests in order to make this successful for our students. So hello.
Thank you, Ashley. So I just want to go over an agenda with you. We have some special guests with us today who will be sharing as well. But we'll begin by going over the SkillsUSA Tennessee Championships and some things that are specific to our state here in Tennessee. Our guest speakers will cover a few of these items here: the role of a technical committee, tech chairs, judges. We also have some state education team members on the call with us today. So we're so thankful to have all of you, both educators, industry partners, all of our partners across the state. Our guest speakers will also speak on how to prepare for your contest, the technical standards, and scoring. Our guest speakers are Miss Lori Simon with Burmax. Lori serves as the tech chair for cosmetology, barbering, nail care, and aesthetics. She also serves on the National Technical Committee. Mr. Mike Batchelor is with us. He is with ASE Education Foundation, and he serves as the tech chair for our automotive service technology, I hope I'm saying that right, contest, and the MLR maintenance light repair contest. And then we, I think Darren is on the call. I can't see the list of participants right now, but Mr. Darren Gibson is with the SkillsUSA National Office, and he oversees championships at the national office. So we're so thankful to have these partners with us today to help prepare you on the role of a tech chair and a tech committee and state education team, and how to prepare for your contest in Tennessee. Just a reminder, I know it's been a while since we've been together, so I just want to remind you that SkillsUSA is a partnership of students, teachers, and industry working together to ensure America has a skilled workforce. And I just want to say how much we appreciate you and how much we couldn't do this without the support of teachers, advisors, instructors, everyone on the education side, as well as our business and industry partners. If any one of these three pieces of the triangle are missing, SkillsUSA is not operating as it should. So we are so thankful for you being here today. And we just want you to know that we can't do this without you. So we truly appreciate your partnership with us. Some important dates. Our State Leadership and Skills Conference will be April 10th through the 13th. The majority of our contests will be held at the Chattanooga Convention Center, but we have several contests that are taking place at the Tennessee College of Applied Technology in Chattanooga. We are so thankful for our TCAT Chattanooga partners. I know we have several TCAT Chattanooga instructors and advisors on the call today. We're thankful for you for offering up your facilities. We're thankful to Dr. Barrett at TCAT Chattanooga, who has graciously allowed us to use their facilities this year. So contest setup will be on Monday, April 11th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. for those contests that need to set up a day prior. Some contests and or contest orientations will also be held on Monday, April 11th, but our primary contest day is Tuesday, April 12th, and contests will run from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our grand award ceremony will take place on Wednesday morning, Wednesday, April 13th, and will begin at 9 a.m. So a couple of things to go over. And actually, Ashley is going to talk about this slide, so I'll hand it over to Ashley. Thanks.
Thanks, Shana. So we have 112 different contests between the middle school, high school, and post-secondary divisions. That's including our state-only contests. We have a few at the high school level, Sharon Melton Myers, Suitcase, and mock trial. So it is quite a bit, and we, like Shana was alluding to earlier, we cannot do this without you. So there are a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and you are a very important piece to that. A note about the different divisions, all of you serving as contest coordinators, we would appreciate your support in both running the high school and the post-secondary contest. So we aren't splitting up those contest coordinators. We would like you to incorporate both levels. I believe Mike on the call has talked to us about this before. He may have some ideas about how to adjust that between the two levels for different contests. We know that it'll vary between the contests. So it's up to you as a contest coordinator how you would like to run that, whether you do high school first and then post-secondary or vice versa, or if it's possible to do it all at once, potentially doing stations. And the partners that we have, the guests that we have on the call today can provide some ideas for that. Our registration for both our secondary and post-secondary closes on March 1st. So right now we have some preliminary numbers for the secondary level. I sent out an intent to compete in conversations with some contest coordinators who are used to our regional competitions. That was something that was important. I thought it was a great idea. So we sent that out to figure out about how many would be attending, since we haven't had an in-person event since 2019. Part of the reason for this is that typically our secondary side would host regional conferences that would act as qualifiers for the State Leadership and Skills Conference. And since this year we did not host regional conferences for varied reasons, we were worried about the participation for that. And so it's up to you as the contest coordinator, once you have the information on final registration numbers, how you want to structure the contest in order to meet the numbers that are there or that you have for that contest, whether that be modifying or adjusting the contest to fit within the parameters that you have, like time constraints, the venue, in order to accommodate for all of the participation. If you wanted to know how many filled out the intent to compete, at least on the secondary level, I can provide those numbers to you. We were just kind of we're really unsure until March 1st who will actually commit to competing in some of these contests. So hopefully that's some helpful information. You as a contest coordinator, we definitely give you that green light to make the adjustments and modifications that you need to fit the amount of people that will be participating.
Thanks, Ashley. And we will share those contest numbers soon after March 1st with each of you, so you know how many contestants to prepare for in your contests. So as you know, every contest is different. Some contests include different components and some have various components. So it could be anything from a demonstration of skills to an interview or presentation, a portfolio, a display, but a couple of things that all contestants will participate in. One is the professional development exam and the submission of a resume. We are conducting online testing this year. SkillsUSA National Office has provided an online testing platform that is new this year. So we're really looking forward to being able to provide testing ahead of the conference. So that will save us time and space at state conference, and it will allow our students to be able to take their written knowledge exam, if applicable to the contest, and the professional development exam. You may know this as the SkillsUSA knowledge exam. They've renamed it. I believe this year they've renamed it, but it's now known as the professional development exam. So those exams will be taken ahead of state conference. We're providing a 2-week testing window in March where students will take those exams at their campus or at their school. We will then provide the scores for the written knowledge exam, if applicable to the contest, and for the professional development exam. We will provide those scores to contest coordinators or tech chairs when you register and when you check in at the state conference. It will be up to you as tech chairs to determine how you want to use those scores within your final scorecard for each contestant. I know that some of our tech chairs I've heard from prefer not to use the written knowledge exam. They really want to just base their scores, their overall scores, on the demonstration of skills and skill performance. If that's what you decide as a technical committee and as a tech chair, that is completely up to you. But we do want our students to have that opportunity to take the written knowledge exam because we know it will be required at the national level if the student places gold. So again, those exams will take place online ahead of the conference, and we will provide you with their scores for you to determine how you want to incorporate those into the scorecard at the conference. Resumes are required to be submitted by every contestant. And our plan this year is for students to submit those at orientation. That's how the national office lays it out in their technical standards. So we're following that this year. I have heard from a couple that it may be, a good practice to have those resumes submitted online ahead of time. We're not looking at doing that this year, but if that is the will of the group, we can look at doing that for next year. Just a couple more pieces from Ashley and I before we hand it over to our guest speakers. As you probably know, the technical standards that are written by the tech committees at the national level are the guiding standards for our contests. So we ask that as a state contest chair that you model your contest after the national tech standards and follow those standards as much as possible. However, we understand that this is state, this is not nationals, and we understand we don't have the same amount of time, resources, funding, equipment, materials that a national contest would have. So we understand that state contests will vary as needed to fit the resources and the time that we have here at the state level. And Ashley's going to talk about the contest planning survey, which you'll receive after this meeting.
Yes, so we will send an email that has the recording to this, as well as the planning survey and any other last minute information that we want to give to you. But what is really important in that email will be this contest planning survey or planning form. It will be a Google form that will be asking you for all of the logistics for your contest. So space required, tables, chairs, outlets, as well as who would be providing the supplies and materials and equipment, what is going to be purchased by you or provided by you versus what it needs to be purchased by SkillsUSA. So all of that will be in the survey. We set the deadline as March 4th in hopes that once registration closes on March 1st, we can get those numbers to you. So when you're submitting your planning forms to us with the necessary materials and equipment, it can reflect the people registered or the exact amount registered for the contest. In addition to that, we are also going to connect you with those who have volunteered to serve on a technical committee. When we sent out the initial survey, we sent it to everyone who had been involved in the past, anyone who is interested in the future. So you may be the main contest coordinator on this call, but we may have some support for you. So if there are other volunteers, we'll also connect you at that time. And then I think might be it before we move on to our guests. But we have at State Conference what is called the Texpo. This is basically exhibitor booths that happen throughout the conference on Monday and Tuesday, April 11th and 12th for the majority of the day. And it's an opportunity for you to set up an exhibitor booth, maybe display your business or company, have some flyers, giveaways, bring in some equipment if there's room for it. So this would be your time to exhibit your company. And then we have what's called Meet the Employer, which is on Tuesday afternoon from 3 to 5 p.m. on April 12th. And this is an event for high school seniors and college students to interact directly with you. They may have their resumes with them, their portfolios with them, and it's a chance to talk to you one-on-one about potential job opportunities since we are preparing our students for the workforce. So being a contest coordinator, this is one of the perks. We thank you so much for your time and resources. This is our thank you to you that you can participate in both the Texpo and the Meet the Employer free of charge. So we are excited to welcome you to that. We are planning on bringing those back because we know that those were some great opportunities for our students in 2019. We anticipate around 2,000 members to attend State Leadership and Skills Conference. So the exhibitor booths, that's a lot of traffic coming your way. It's every attendee, teacher, student, all levels. And then Meet the Employer, again, is geared towards high school seniors and college students specifically, invite only.
Okay, thank you so much. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to our guest speakers who are going to talk more about the role of a tech chair or a technical committee, judges, how to prepare for your contest, and all the logistics that go along with that. We understand that every contest is different. However, we have some varied backgrounds here with our guest speakers, and we hope that they can share some excellent information with you to help you prepare for your contest at State Leadership and Skills Conference. So I'll stop sharing my screen. Lori Simon, are you on the call yet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, would you like to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay.
So, my name is, can y'all hear me pretty well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. My name is Lori Simon, and I work with Firmex, and I have been part of Skills/VICA for many years. And about 7 years ago, I came back into the industry and have been working at the national level. I am part of the committee of cosmetology, and then I give any time or effort to the Nels or SD if they need anything from us. We help. I am the technical chair for barbering. So barbering and cause are the two competitions that I know the most about. So, but I'm just going to speak in reference to the beauty culture and or cult cluster. Sorry. So basically, I tell everybody read your technical standards that you get from nationals. Period. Exclamation point. 100 times. Those are where, when I help with any competition, I definitely go based off those. Now, if we have time restraints or things like that, sometimes I might pull something out based off that, but I try to follow those to a T from what the school brings or what the student has to bring. Now, national, of course, provides mannequins. Not all states do that, so the schools are required to bring the mannequins as well. But on most of the technical standards, I think it does say if the technical chair is providing it at national levels, then you need to find out if your state's providing that, but always be prepared if they are not. So I always say bring anything on that list that you need for your competition. You do not have to bring other things, but there are some items that are not included on that list that you might feel you need. So just bring them, make sure they're packaged appropriately. I do know within the beauty cluster, we do a kit check. I do kit checks a little different. I do it as a group, as a whole. So we kind of knock it out quicker than doing each individual person. But you need to make sure that whatever is needed on that technical standard kit list, you do have, because that's part of your grade. Anything extra is not needed for the kit checklist. So just leave it in your bag until it's time for you to be needed. I guess I should ask, is there any questions about where to find the technical standards? Does everybody know where those are to be found?
And if not, if anyone needs help accessing those standards, you can reach out to either me or Ashley and we can help you get those standards.
Perfect. Thank you, ladies. So basically that's it. So I do know that each beauty cluster is set up a different. So for cause, we do not do the colored portion on site for your long-haired mannequin. That is something you can do prior to arriving, is having your mannequin colored, your long-haired one for your long hair, because that is part of your grade. But due to time restraints, we do not do the coloring portion for the cause. So that needs to be done prior to coming to the competition. Just be aware of if it's getting on any of the mannequin, and it needs to be done by the student, not an instructor or a fellow classmate. The person who's participating is the one that needs to be doing that work. Barbering, we do all of that. The barbering competition does have a job interview during the process, so that one's a little different. So be prepared for that. And it is in the technical standards, so make sure you follow that. In the nail portion, you need to make sure anything you use in nails has been approved from the technical chair. We follow those guidelines. If it was not made for nails, it's not to be used. And in the ESTI, we follow those as well. And please read your technical standards on that one as well. Do not think you can use Elmer's glue on the face if it's not made for skin. Now, they could have changed the rules on the Elmer's glue. I haven't read it lately, but in the past, that's not made for skin. So if it's not made for skin, it's not to be used. So those are the 4 big things that are different within those clusters that are being done. But other than that, I always just say have fun. We're here for a reason, and let's just enjoy ourselves and put our best foot forward and do the best we can. So is there anything else that you would like for me to add? I will be sending you what I would think would be the best time frame for each contest. I just finished it, so I'll get that over to you, ladies.
Thank you, Lori. Any general questions from anyone? Lori chairs 4 different contests, so any general questions on how to coordinate your contest?
I have
Anything
one
similar?
quick question
Sure.
for Lori. We had, I guess, a couple meetings ago, Shayna had told us about not getting pictures this year of the haircuts. Or is that what we're going to do for state as well? I know that she said we do that, or y'all are doing that now at the national level. So is that what's going to happen at state for the men's and the long-haired cuts?
So last year during the pandemic, the cosmetology decided as a group that we were not going to give pictures out ahead of time, because as cosmetologists and barbers, whatever, that's a way for us to see that you can take a picture from a customer who walks in off the street and hands you a picture. Can you take that and create it? And that's really when we go into when somebody comes into the salon for an interview, that's what I do. I don't give them the picture. So we were trying to put that against what some of the salon owners have been saying, that they feel that some prospective employees cannot take something and create it. So cosmetology, barbering has always not given a picture ahead of time. So cosmetology has decided last year that that's what we're going to do moving forward at nationals. So I will do that at state as well.
One more quick question. I know in the past they had taken pictures from like the Pivot Point book or the Milady or both. Is that something they're still going to do? Like take pictures from those books, or is it just going to be like something off of a Google picture? You know what I mean? Like, is there still like a standard, like, you know what I'm saying?
I understand. That's a great question as well. So basically, there's 4 or 5 teams that we get pictures from: Andis Wall, Pivot Point, Milady, and why am I drawing a blank? I want to say Babyliss is the other one, but don't hold me to that. So I reach out to my people and ask for pictures. We put them in a hat, we draw them out. That's how I do it. That way, there's nobody can say I picked one or the other. It's just we just kind of draw it on the hat. And so this year I haven't got any pictures, and as of yet, I'm waiting to see what they send over. Does that answer your questions?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. You're
Lori,
welcome.
I have one question. This is Ernestine. How you doing? This one is pertaining to the cosmetology program with the long hair tinting. Is there any way that the student can tape themselves doing it or something like that and submit it? That way you know that they did it themselves, because that has always been a question.
And Ernestine, that is a great question. I'm glad you did bring that up. So, we like the videos, and I don't know if that's something that can always be done. Shanna and it's Ashley, I believe, would have to set up something for y'all to put those in. Um, but a video is the best way for us to see. Pictures work well too, but like you said, pictures can be manipulated. That's why we like the video for state level, but I didn't know if we were going to be able to do that this year, so I did not mention it. But I'll let Shanna and Ashley follow up. But I know if we can't do it this year, moving forward, that will be something I would suggest for state level for sure, because this is the students, not the teachers, and that's a great point.
Okay, thank you so much, Lori. Any other questions for Lori? Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Lori. We really appreciate your perspective since you do chair 4 different contests. So we appreciate you being with us today. So now we'll move on from human services sector, cosmetology, barbering, nail care, aesthetics to automotive. So we have Mr. Mike Batchelor on the call with us. He oversees and chairs 2 of our automotive contests. So we'll let him give an overview of coordinating a contest and running a technical committee, and kind of some insight on how to prepare for your contest. Mike, you're still muted.
There we go. Sorry. This year we have reached out to different manufacturers to man each station. We plan to have our stations manned by employers, whether they're regional or local employers of Chattanooga. Most of my regional managers cover multiple states like myself. Um, we we plan to have our MLR contest on April 11th and the AST contest on April 12th. Um, as far as hosting a contest, I guess automotive may be different than other contests. Our areas are struggling to find people that are able to work now as much as anybody, I guess. Our industries this year, they said we're over 300,000 openings for employment. So being able to get industry partners interested in our students is a pretty easy task as of right now. We plan to test all 8 areas of ASC certifications. And again, I said we'll have a different manufacturer for each area. We will have a job interview station. And we have a new station this year, Hertz Rent-A-Car. We'll be doing a pre or post trip inspection. Each station will be running in tandem, so we'll be testing high school and college students at the same time on the AST day. All tools will be provided. There will be no need to bring your own scan tool. If there is a scan tool involved, it will be a general or a generic type scan tool. Precision measurements will be basic tools, no specialty tools. Is there any questions so far? I don't know who my crowd is. It's hard to speak to a crowd that you don't know who you're talking to. But I do look forward to SkillsUSA every year. I would not be here today if it was not for VECA. I will date myself. It was VECA when I came through high school, but if I hadn't had this opportunity through VECA at the time, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And that's one thing a lot of our industry partners, if it's, Porsche, UPS or Honda, most of the people are in this position today because of SkillsUSA or VECA and these contests. It makes me proud to see those people participate and try to give back to the students and to our states. Okay. Is there any other questions?
Hey, Mike, this is Bill from TCAT Crossville.
Okay.
We just got into the NC3 Snap-on stuff.
Yes, sir.
So Skills isn't going to strictly be around in Snap-on.
No, sir. It's going to be a manufacturer contest this year. All of my manufacturers are wanting to participate, and ultimately they are who hire students. If an industry partner wants to donate time and product, we're not going to kick anybody out. But when the manufacturers are wanting to play, I'm trying my best to bring people that are going to hire our students.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted verification on that.
Yes, sir. Thank you for attending today. These ladies are trying to do their best to bring everybody to the table. If you don't attend, don't fuss. Any other automotive or transportation questions?
Mike, who are you working with here in Chattanooga as far as dealers?
Most of mine are the manufacturer levels. That means they're regional managers for Subaru, Lexus, and such. We will probably have some local dealers participate. I'm going to try to have that confirmation tomorrow if we're going to have a dealer participating in the area. My goal is we try to move forward with this, is I would like to have the regional managers can hire a student anywhere in the area. If I do local employers, they're in the Chattanooga area. And if I have a student coming from Bristol or Nashville and they win, the chances of them getting hired in Chattanooga are pretty low. But we got to make sure we're bringing that opportunity. You know what I mean? So, I do appreciate our vendors, but ultimately they don't hire students. And that's the reason for trying to bring in more industry. We just haven't really had that opportunity as much as what we have right now. So I'm not trying to kick anybody out, just trying to expand our horizons. So thank you for your question. Was that Jimmy that asked that, or I see a hand up on Jimmy?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Thank you for raising your hand. I'm a lousy on the right hand raising. I always just put my mouth in the gear. Any other questions? I love your background there. That's awesome. I got to figure out how to get mine. Zooming, I can show out, but teaming, I'm not. So, any other questions? Thank you for participating with these ladies today. They're trying really hard.
Thanks, Mike. Yes, we are trying really hard. It's a lot. I don't know if we know what we signed up for, but we're working as hard as we can to get this going, and we're so excited to see it in person in April. So thanks so much for that insight, Mike. And now we're going to hand it over to our final guest speaker, last but certainly not least, Mr. Darren Gibson from the Skills USA National Office is going to give us some insight and perspective on helping you understand how to coordinate and how to run your contest at the state level. So Mr. Gibson, over to you.
Thank you, Shana, and thank you, Ashley, for inviting me today. I'm excited to join this call, thank you for, I'm sorry, who was just speaking? I lost the screen. I lost your name. Who was just speaking?
Mike Batchelor.
Mike, yeah, thank you. I had the names up there a while ago, and they're gone now when I started sharing my screen. Mike, thank you for sharing your history as a VICA member. I too was a VICA member. I competed in welding back in, I'll date myself a little bit. Back in 1982, I competed in the state welding competition in my state, and I've served many roles over the years. I worked in industry. I served as a contest judge and chair for local state competitions, and then I moved into the role of being an educator, a Skills USA advisor back when it was called VICA, and then it evolved into Skills USA, and then I served as a state director for 12 years before going on to come to national staff a year and a half ago. And I really do appreciate all of you. I saw Dell on the screen. I saw the banners in the background and the Skills USA jacket. It reminds me of the years when I was an advisor and taking my chapter business team to nationals and getting beat out by Tennessee every year at nationals. So Tennessee has a long history of great success, and obviously you guys are the home of Skills USA. The origins of Skills USA is out of Tennessee, so appreciate you. I appreciate the slide that was brought up earlier that went over the partnership, but what Skills USA is, it is a partnership of students, teachers, and the industry working together. And I don't think there's a better example where this partnership comes to play than championships. Our championships is a true partnership of all those players coming together. And what I hope to do today is kind of show you what the ideal setup would be for our competition committee and what we look for at the national level. And hopefully you guys will follow suit at the state level in the roles and responsibilities of each individual, each group, and what we hope for them to do. And I appreciate, the efforts in the auto service about reaching out to your industry partners. And it's not just the vendors, but also it's critical that we get our industry partners involved in our competitions. And I know as an advisor, former advisor, state director, and even at the national level, that's difficult for some of our competitions to get industry involved. I like to use the example of leadership contests. It is very difficult to get industry involved in a leadership competitions because it's easy to get somebody from Toyota to attend and support an auto service competition, but sometimes our industry partners don't have the resources to support some of those other competitions. So we know that what we'd like to see is not always possible, or there's challenges, but in a dream world, it would be that industry partners is running every competition. So roles and responsibility, I'll start out with the contest chair. Our contest chair, obviously, our most important thing is to keep our students safe and our volunteers safe, but making sure your job as a chair is to oversee, just to make sure that there's following industry standards, industry practices, safe practices, clothing, the proper clothing is being worn for the competition, and keeping everybody safe. And then second is keeping it a fair competition. If I would say there was one or two rows that those, and I put those at the very top, those are the two critical pieces out of anything you do as a chair, is keeping it safe and keeping it fair. If you don't have a fair competition, it does not, or I will back that up. If you don't have a competition that is perceived as fair, sometimes we run a very fair competition, but just the things, the visual pieces that sometimes our teachers or students see, or they make assumptions that something isn't being done fair. And I know I'm speaking to the crowd for some of you that have been around for a while. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So really showing that, having that transparency, how things are done, and really making an effort to make sure on the visible side that it is a fair competition. Your job is to coordinate all efforts. Again, I know some of this stuff is probably common sense, but we may have a few new chairs on the call, but it's just a lot of this is just rehashing some of the information that many of you probably already understand. But your job is to coordinate all the efforts of the competition, but not necessarily to run the competition. You're pulling all the players together to help that group effort. And I'll hit on that in just a little bit more. And your job is to help secure the judges. As our contest chair, our hope is that as an industry partner, in most cases, it should be an industry partner. But like I said a while ago, we understand that sometimes an industry partner serving as chair, there may not be those resources. And we run in the same thing at nationals. We really do. We have competitions. We're finding an industry individual to serve as a chair is very difficult. Sometimes we do rely on our educators, like some of you on the call are educators that are serving as a chair of the state. But you're helping us secure the judges, secure the scoring tabulation team. In a perfect world, those are two different groups. And the reason why is kind of a checks and balances, because if a judge is also serving as a scoring tabulation on the tabulation team, they may miss a mistake that was made. So it's important that we try to have two different groups that do that. So you have your judges, that's their job. They're assessing the students' work. And then you have another team following up behind them, and they get the scorecards from the judges, and they enter that data. And this, if at all possible, again, sometimes situations arise where sometimes a chair has to step up and serve as a judge. But in a perfect world, as a chair, we wouldn't want you to serve as a judge. And really, your only piece would come into maybe if there was a conflict in the scoring, you could be maybe that tiebreaker. You could step in and come up with a solution of how to solve that problem or that challenge in the score. But actually serving as a judge, we want to really encourage our chairs not to serve as a judge, to try to be that neutral player pulling all the players, all the teams together. And also, and we run into this from time to time at nationals, and I've ran into it as state director. You don't want the chair to be really creating the scope of the contest. As was mentioned, we'd love for you to follow the national technical standards, but because of time or equipment limitations, you may have to pick and choose what to cover in your competitions versus on compared to the national technical standards. That should not be the chair making that decision. It should be the committee, that entire committee come together. And when I say the committee, I'm not talking about the educators, because as you can imagine, educators could have contestants, and that may develop a conflict too, that because of a teacher may be perceived as kicking a component out of a contest or having a component in just because they know the strength of their students. So a lot of this is the perception, but we want to make sure that we're trying to be fair. So getting the technical committee together and coming up with a scope of the competition, and it may be something completely that's not even part of the national technical standards. I like to use this example that when I was a state director, our HVAC committee, they wanted to add a ground source heat pump component to our competition, and it wasn't a part of the national competition. But in their efforts to prepare our students in our state for industry, we added that to our competition, which only made a better skilled worker, or preparing our students for meeting the industry needs in our local areas. So that's also an opportunity that you can add if you see fit that there's skills that need to be taught within your state. There's always that opportunity, and that's where that technical committee comes into play and helps add that. The technical committee, like I said, industry support, and that is who should serve on that role. And their primary role and responsibility is serving as a judge, and also, like the previous slides indicated, helping determine the scope of the competition, what the students are going to be doing. Establish your scorecard. We've got sample scorecards that we provide from the national level. We've got scorecards that from the previous year on our website. We actually got 2019 scorecards published. We don't have 2021 published because there were so many changes to the virtual scorecards last year. We felt it would be easier for everyone to see the 2019 because those are going to be the closest to what nationals will be like. So you've got those scorecards, but you as a committee come together to determine what those scoring criteria are going to be for your competition. And this kind of follow up what I said a while ago, making sure the contest skills meet industry needs, and specifically industry needs in your state where your students are going to be going to work. And you know, like the auto service, they're bringing in those dealers and those manufacturers in because they're going to be hiring our students. So we want to make sure that we have our students learning the skills that they need in your area. And then creating the project scenario, or whatever that is, troubleshooting component, however the competition is structured, but that contest committee would be that group. And I want to emphasize again, it's not the responsibility of the contest chair to do this. This should be a committee. This should be more than one person, a complete committee coming up with the scope of the competition. And also helping secure contest prizes. That is important that our industry partners be involved with that. Sometimes we do have educators that help out in that role, but I know from time to time there are limitations based on school policies that may prevent an educator from reaching out to industry to secure prizes. So sometimes that's a local policies that have to be followed, but in a perfect world, we want our industry partners to help us secure those prizes. And I mentioned an industry partner that is who makes the perfect state technical committee. But I think it's a valuable piece. It could be a valuable learning experience to a brand new teacher that has never seen the contest before. They don't have any competitors. What better way to bring on a new teacher to let them see firsthand what the contest will look like? And they're going to be experts. Our educators are hired right out of industry. You know, look at the welding industry. When I was hired as a teacher, I came right out of the industry, and I felt like I had a pretty good scope or handle on what was needed in the welding industry. Our new teachers could serve in that role. So as industry contest support should be from industry, those technical committees, but don't count out the possibility of bringing in a new teacher that doesn't have a competitor, because it could be a great way to create some great new advisors to get fired up about SkillsUSA. Our education team, that is our educators that are helping support the competition. They serve in various roles, and really I listed a few, but it's not limited to this list. There's a number of roles that their educators can help support the competition, help coordinate the facilities, securing the equipment. I look at, in the cosmetology competition in my state, I relied on my educators to secure all the equipment, the chairs and the towel warmers and all that piece of equipment. And the welding, they were working with the technical committee to reach out to industry to provide the welding machine. So, and the welding gases. So our educators should support those roles. And one of the things I really want to stress that it is a partnership. But if you put too much on our industry partners, I've seen this firsthand, and some of you may have too. You could run an industry partner off because you put too much on their plate. They're volunteers. More than likely, they're working as a full-time employee somewhere in the industry, and they're volunteering their time and energy. So if we put too much on them, it could become a negative experience, and we may lose that partnership. So that's where our educators, you're going to be there already. You're there with your students, you're attending the event. So sometimes you be the laborers on the floor. You're helping out, secure adjustment, coordinate the move in and move out, the setup. That really should be a good role for the educators. And it doesn't necessarily have to be anybody recognized as an education team. It could be all the teachers coming together that has students qualified for the state competition. They're coming in and helping set up, and they're helping secure all the equipment and materials and coordinate those efforts. So I think it's important that our educators understand that we need their help. We don't want to put too much on our industry partners, because like I said, it could become a negative experience. And transparency is vital. Whatever role you serve as an educator, transparency is critical. I mentioned a while ago that perception that something is not fair. It's being that transparent. And I remember, I love to give this example. When I was a teacher, we had our state competition. It was held at a school because we didn't have a facility in the city where it was held. We didn't have a facility that had all the equipment, so a school hosted this competition. So you would think about it, this host teacher and his students would have an advantage, and in reality they did. But I love the approach that this teacher did. He got up in front of every contestant before it even started. He said, I know my students understand every piece of equipment in this shop, and they will likely have an advantage over each one of those equipment. Says, this is my dedication as the host. You call on me, I will go out there and I will set that machine for you if I need to. I want you to have experience a fair competition. So that was an example of the host teacher going out of his way to make sure that was a fair playing field with the equipment the students are going to be seeing. So transparent, being upfront and honest, not going behind the curtains as an educator with those scorings, staying up front and visible, not being enrolled in any of the scoring. That's if there's a decision to be made, whether it's scoring or making a decision, if you're an educator and you've got students competing in that competition, you should never put yourself in a role that's going to affect the outcome of that contest. That's very, very important. Like I said, there's some of you on the call that are educators, and you will be chairing your competitions. You may serve as judges, but if you have students competing, that is critical that transparency is there and that you not be part of that scoring piece. Again, I thousands and thousands of advisors across the state, great hearts, great people that having inappropriate activity or cheating going on is the furthest thing from their mind. But that doesn't solve the problem of that transparency, where that perceived, if you've got a student competing and another teacher sees you behind that curtain or you're talking to a judge, then it could be perceived that you're maybe pushing scores one way or the other. And I want to finish this up. Our worst nightmare. Obviously, our worst nightmare is somebody getting hurt. But if everything goes well, and Shana and Ashley, you haven't experienced this, but you will. It's just part of it. And I know there's a lot of people on the call that have experienced this. As a state director, the absolutely worst thing in the world for me to have to do, and I had to do it far too many times, is call up the teacher, say, look, I'm so sorry. So-and-so did not qualify because there was a scoring mistake, a simple scoring mistake. And that's devastating to our students. That's the last thing we want to do, is to knock down our students. We want to be an organization that builds up our students and celebrates their efforts. But it's hard to build up somebody when you throw a curveball at them like that and just drop a bombshell. Sorry, you're not going to nationals. There's nothing we can do about a scoring error. And one of the last calls I had to make as a state director was just a few years ago. We had a school that is a HVAC or sheet metal student that qualified for state, or they thought they qualified for state. They were excited. The parents were excited. The parents had already booked flights, already booked the hotels. The school had already booked everything for that teacher and that student. And I had to call them up and let them know that there was a scoring error. And, you know, the rightful gold medalist is going to nationals in their place. And so that was not only devastating, but also financially, it was devastating to an entire family that secured all those flights and stuff. So with that said, I've always really emphasized the philosophy of three. You know, having at least three judges. If you're going to have a component score, try to have at least three judges. That way you have a fair assessment of a student's work. And I've seen this from time to time, and I'm not saying it's absolutely necessary, because I've seen it where competitions where, all right, judge one, you're going to score this component, judge two, you're going to score this component. You know, that works, and it is fair because every student has the same judge, but one judge may score one area stricter than another. So in a perfect world, if you have the number of judges and you have the layout of the competition set up properly, that you have at least three individuals that they score every component that every student does. So you may have station one, you have three judges there. Station two, you have three judges there. But again, that could be difficult, especially in some of our competitions like the transportation competition, where you have so many different stations and components. That is very, very difficult. So again, in the perfect world, try to have at least three judges. Triple check scores. Your judges need to make sure, and not double check, but triple check, as they go through there. And what we want to see is different set of eyes, not just that judge looking at their own scores. So maybe they pass off their scores to another judge, and that judge just double checks them. Because if we make mistakes ourselves, sometimes we will overlook it and we won't catch our own mistakes, but other set of eyes will. Triple and check the data entry. And I gave this example of, you know, you have 30 contestants, and let's say we have 3 or 10 scoring areas, and multiply that times the number of judges. That's at least 1,000 data entry points, keystrokes per contest. And you multiply, Shayna and Ashley, you multiply that time all your competitions, you're looking at probably well over 100,000 keystrokes. And all it takes is one keystroke, a 0 going in when there should be a 10, or a 1 going in where there should be a 10. And that one keystroke could affect the outcome of that competition. So triple checking the data entry, having the individuals that are plugging in those scores from the judges, having somebody come back behind them and somebody come back behind them, just double checking. And I know I'm spending a lot of time on this because this is where we could have the very best competition possible, but a mistake like this can just make the whole experience for everybody just come crashing down. And triple check your final results. That's getting the score team, the data entry team looking at it, having your judges look at it, and then comparing the final results. Because I've experienced this myself when I was hosting a competition where the scores were announced and the judges were looking at each other. There's no way the results are accurate, and we had to go back and make some changes. So just double, triple check everything. And that's all I have for my presentation. Is there any questions?
I have a question for Ashley and Shanna. Will we be using jump drives, or will we be using computers to be putting our scores in this year?
Great question. I'll take that, and unless Ashley wants to add anything. We are planning to collect our scores electronically. through the scorecard. We're planning to use OneDrive. So if you're familiar with Microsoft Office and the OneDrive application, it's basically Microsoft Excel, just in an online format. So we'll use the Microsoft Excel scorecards provided by the national office, and judges or your scoring team for your contest would enter those scores into the Excel file in OneDrive. Rather than toting flash drives all across Chattanooga, because as you probably know, we have several contests at TCAT Chattanooga. We have our culinary contest off sites at a different location. So we feel that using an online Excel spreadsheet will serve our contest and our contest chairs better than using the jump drives.
Okay. Will we be able to get access to student numbers, not names and such, before the contest, where we can work out rotations and such?
Do you mean total registrants for your contest, or contestant numbers?
Contestant numbers, like automotive secondary may be starting with a 1. It might be 1001, and post-secondary may be 5001. But we have access to those numbers before. I don't want no names, don't want no school names. I just need numbers to where we can work on rotations.
I think we can do that. I'll have to look into it a little further, but I think that's possible. Yes.
I just don't have to be saying, did you have station 2? Did you have station 6? I want
Right.
to know. I want to be able to provide a document for them to where they know when they start, and they have a judge sign off after they get through that each station was completed.
Gotcha. Yes, we should be able to do that ahead of time, Mike.
Okay, thank you so much.
Shana, are you using the SkillsUSA CMS?
Yes.
Yeah. As soon as registration closes and it's verified, you can pull those reports out. Patty can show you how to do that.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
This is Clyde Rush. I have a question as well too.
Sure, go ahead.
Will we have a chance to see the score sheet just as a blank one, because I'll have to have several judges, and I usually do them in categories based on as far as the restaurant service goes is what I do, and I have one judge for the host, one for the table setup and floor service, one for tableside preparations. Will I be able to get a current one, because I have not been involved in the setups for the last 3 years due to us being closed and health issues a couple of years ago.
Right. Yes, we can provide you with the 2019 scorecards, which they'll be set up the same way for this year's contest. So we can provide you a sample 2019 scorecard ahead of time. Is that for restaurant service?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, gotcha. I will send that to you.
And they're also checking if we're going to be setting up on the floor or moving to chat state on that with the culinary arts. And Nicole is also working with that. Okay.
Yes, sir. I have an email to Chat State to see if we can use their facilities, but I haven't heard back just yet. But I'll keep you updated.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, I don't want to keep you. We are just past our time. I want to say another big thank you to Lori, Mike, and Darren for sharing your insights with us today. I think your presentations were very valuable. I know they were helpful to me, and I just appreciate your time today. And once again, thank you to all of our education team members, all of our business and industry partners who have joined us for the call today. Again, we couldn't do this without you, so thank you for being here, and we will follow up with the meeting recording, the contest planning survey, and any other additional details that we've left out in this meeting. We'll make sure we follow up in an email with you on those. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.